Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Conference Championship edition of Stacking the Box. It is myself, Iain MacMillan, and Sterling Holmes. I'm reporting live from the fan-sided office, so not my usual setup today. But yeah, obviously we're going to talk Championship Sunday, which is coming up. 32 teams start the NFL season. 4 teams are left. What, Sterling? What?
You're going to get such high cholesterol with all that salt you keep throwing on the Chiefs, my guy. I mean, just going into that game, I don't know who's down worse, you or Bills fans right now. I mean, it's just got to be a handshake agreement between you guys.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later on in the show. But yeah, I'm sick of the Chiefs. I had a stressful weekend on social media as I was both defending Brock Purdy to the death one day and then fighting against Chiefs fans the next day. So
some say 0 for 2. Some say.
I wouldn't. Some might say that. If people say that, then they're idiots, but I certainly wouldn't. People forget I bet on the Chiefs. I was cheering for the Bills. I bet on the Chiefs, so I won money. But we're going to get into it. Don't worry. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. So as always, we're going to go through best winners and losers from this past week. We're going to talk about recap the divisional round a little bit, where I'll talk about my argument for both those games. And then, of course, we're going to preview the championship round. There are 4 teams left. I don't think we can really argue. I mean, these might be the 4 best teams in the NFL all season. So I guess maybe you could make the case, maybe the Bills, probably not, though, and then maybe the Cowboys over the Lions. But these 4 teams are deserving to be playing in championship weekend. But before we go any further, guess what, football fans? DraftKings is offering a fantastic sign-up bonus ahead of the conference round. You can place a $5 bet on anything to instantly claim $200 in bonus bets. You will also be rewarded with a separate no-sweat single-game parlay every single day when you opt in. The best part is you will receive both rewards even if your bet loses. So if you tail my bets, my stinky losing bets, it doesn't matter. You'll get the bonuses regardless. When you join DraftKings, make sure to use our code STB. Using our code STB not only gets you these great bonuses, it also directly supports our podcast. If you've been considering signing up for DraftKings, make sure to use the code STB to maximize your first bets and parlays. This offer is only available to new customers who are 21 plus and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. Justin, right away, I want to address this question. Do you guys see both number 1 seeds falling this weekend? I think there's a higher probability than in the past handful of years. I couldn't disagree with you more, Justin. I think the complete opposite. But we'll talk about that a little bit. Oh, do you have a quick thought?
Yeah, just very quick. And Justin, I think I actually agree with you there. I think there's actually a decent possibility. So we'll have some fun with that one.
Perfect. So we get to debate about that later on in this show. Joshua says Chiefs and AFC Championship game, just like we all predicted after Christmas Day. I guess at this point we should be predicting it in week 1 because 6 straight seasons we get to see Chiefs and their whiny fans advance to the AFC Championship. Even though they're whined all season, nothing but crying and whining from Chiefs fans all season, they're back in the AFC Championship game. And now they're arrogant. After whining all season, now they're, don't do it. You better get Patrick Mahomes, see what happens. After whining all season. Unbelievable.
Hey, Ian. The floor for Patrick Mahomes when he starts is the AFC Championship game. That's the floor.
Let's talk biggest winners and losers from this past weekend. Sterling, why don't you start us off? Why don't you give us your biggest winner?
I'll do biggest winner here because I'll let you take biggest loser first. Biggest winner is Lions fans. I am so floored for Lions fans. They deserve this. 32 years, and they finally got it done. 2 wins now in the playoffs. They're moving on. They have a very tough test ahead, obviously, as we've talked about. I think the 49ers are the best team all season long in the entire NFL. Them and the Ravens, yeah, they're very tough. I get what you're saying there. We'll talk about that more, but the Lions have a shot, like a legitimate shot. Jared Goff is playing his best football of his entire career. Lions fans have to be floored because not only are you getting this play from this quarterback, look at the rest of the team. There's a lot of youth at some impactful positions this past draft class already. A lot of guys making an impact. Jahmyr Gibbs is so fun to watch. Man, I am very excited for Lions fans. So for me, they're the biggest winner.
Yeah, that's the obvious one. Good for them. I wish them well. In terms of my bets, all that's aside. Obviously, the team that I hope to win the Super Bowl is the Lions. I will not be betting on them to do that, but yeah, good for Lions fans. I was really hoping for a Bills against Lions Super Bowl, the battle of two cursed franchises, but unfortunately, the Chiefs had to do what they do and just be the bad guy in the story once again. My biggest winner of the week is Jordan Love. Because despite overall not playing a good game, despite throwing 2 interceptions, nobody cares. Apparently, the quarterback who led a game-winning drive and won the game is the bad quarterback in the game. The quarterback who threw 2 interceptions, including a game-losing, back-breaking interception where he rolled one way and then threw across his body, the worst interception I've seen all season. Doesn't matter. For some reason, Jordan Love's the greatest player to ever live, and Brock Purdy stinks. So the biggest winner of the week is the guy who actually lost, in Jordan Love, because nobody's talking about his performance. Because for some reason, we're going to trash on the winning quarterback's performance instead.
I don't disagree with a lot of what you said, actually. But I do want to take a little glass half full with Jordan Love, because if you are a Packers fan, you have to be thrilled that you found your guy. You went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to now Jordan Love. Jordan Love's not a Hall of Famer. We're not going to say that yet, obviously. But he's at least a good quarterback. And in your year where this entire season was going to be a feeling out process of, is he the guy moving forward or not? Well, they found out he is. So in that aspect, again, they also won a playoff game. I think if you're Jordan Love and the Packers, you actually do have a lot of reasons to be optimistic here.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. My biggest loser of the week, and I think we probably just agree on this, maybe a slight difference, but mine is Bills fans, because I can relate to franchises that are nothing but cursed. Buffalo fans as a whole are that. I mean, Buffalo has the Bills and the Sabres. So Buffalo doesn't have an NBA team. So is it just the Bills and the Sabres? Because those are the two. Some of them. I mean, the Sabres have the longest playoff drought in the NHL, if you want to look at hockey. And now the Buffalo Bills, this is finally their year. It looked like the door might be closing on them, but they had all the momentum. They were hosting the game. Everything going the Bills' way. And then not only do they lose, but they lose wide right, which is, of course, how they lost the Super Bowl that they should have won. I don't know which of the 4 Super Bowls it was that they lost wide right. Is the one that they probably should have won. It was against the Giants. I don't know if it was their first or second one. But wide right is a tough call for them to lose on this game once again. I will say, as much as it pains me to admit this, if they make that field goal, they're probably losing anyway. Patrick Mahomes has 2 minutes to go down and score a field goal. Like, they probably had to score touchdowns like 30 seconds or less in that game to win. But still, it's just tough to not even like, it would have been better if it was wide left, to be honest. To once again see wide right again, that's got to sting. So I feel for Buffalo fans. The crowd shots of people just bawling their eyes out. I mean, that's tough. I don't know if I'd ever bawl my eyes out over one of my sports teams, but I feel for them. It's the rich get richer once again. The Chiefs move on, and the poor get poorer. The Bills have to deal with another heartbreaking loss.
Yeah, I actually am with you, and that's why I wanted you to go first, because I'm in agreement, man. I feel bad for Bills fans. I do think you're right, though. The talk hasn't been as much on the wide right, because I think the majority of folk understand with a minute and a half left, Mahomes is just going to rip the Bills' hearts out even worse, right? I think Bills fans shouldn't even be mad that he missed the kick, because he at least saved you from what a worse heartbreak would be, Harrison Butker going down and hitting a 35-yarder to win it. Like, it sucks, though, man. Wide right twice, as if you're watching the TV, they're talking about how, yeah, they have full confidence. If he gets a chance to win the game, they know he's going to make it, as the ball is shanked straight right. Like, it was just the epitome of announcer jinx, of fandom jinx, of the Buffalo Bills being cursed. And it does not get better from here. Josh Allen, I thought, played a great game. I love Josh Allen. If you know me, I think Josh Allen's the second best quarterback in football. The issue is, a lot of teams have had to deal with this. He can play a great game, but if it's not perfect, he ain't beating the one guy who's better than him. I think the Bills beat almost any team outside of Kansas City in that game. The issue was they were playing the Chiefs. Stephon Diggs, perpetually unrest there. Josh Allen's contract coming up. He was getting, I think, $18 million against the cap this year. Next year, look out. That's going to be brutal. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, 32-year-old safeties. Tre'Davious White, 28 years old, going on 35, apparently with his injuries. Matt Milano injured yet again. Von Miller got this fat contract. He got 3 tackles during the regular season, 0 sacks. I mean, the Bills' cap situation is not good. This was their all-in year, and they got sent home yet again on a wide right. So for me, I actually do feel very bad for them because I don't know where they go from here. Obviously, you're not in full rebuild mode when you have Josh Allen as your quarterback, but things are going to look very different going forward for Buffalo.
Yeah, tough week for Buffalo. I feel for them. All right, let's move on to kind of recapping the rest of the games here. Let's start off with Saturday's big game. Let's talk about the Packers and the 49ers. Brock Purdy is a guy that we have talked about at length, but I think now this conversation has hit the public sphere even more so than it did during the regular season. So I'll pose this question to you first, and then I'll go on a little rant. Brock Purdy, is he tad? Is he average? Is he good? Is he great? Or is he elite?
He's good. He's a good quarterback.
Good.
He's a good quarterback. Is he elite? No. Because I think if you're doing tiers, you have Mahomes at his own tier. Second tier down, you have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. That's probably where you go. The next tier down, if this is the good one, you're probably looking at Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert. Right. So that's the way I have it broken down. He's a good quarterback. I know a lot of the analytics love him as well. That's great. That's awesome. But also use the eye test and use what he's working with. I know it's very difficult to knock a guy because you're sitting here going, well, what do you want him to do? Throw the ball to Dewan Jennings instead of Brandon Ayuk? No, he's doing what he's supposed to do. But it's the same reason why I have trouble saying Tua Tagovailoa is this great quarterback. Yeah, we see what he does with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but when a guy goes out in big-time moments, just look in the eye test, is he the guy that elevates this team, or is everyone around him elevating him? Again, I'm not saying Brock Purdy's a bad quarterback, but I'm sitting here going, you watch these games, at least with the eye test, it doesn't look like he's elevating the team. That's what I'm seeing. Again, I get where people are coming from on Jordan Love. Those are some horrible interceptions. But when you watch some of the throws that Jordan Love makes, you're going, yeah, Brock Purdy isn't coming close to that. Now, Brock Purdy did make one phenomenal throw, that one to George Kittle in the end zone. That was outstanding. But just on a consistency level, the incredible game-changing plays, I don't see it with Brock the way I do with other elite quarterbacks. He's a good quarterback, not elite.
See, I don't agree with you, but that's at least a conversation that I think someone can have. And that's I'm not going to argue that opinion too much. First of all, I think Brock Purdy's a great quarterback. I don't think he's elite, but I think he's better than good. I think he's a great quarterback. But I was arguing with people on social media, which is one of my favorite activities to do. People were saying Brock Purdy actually stinks. And they were saying anyone who thinks he doesn't is better than terrible is an idiot and doesn't know what they're watching. You can't possibly, no matter what passing metric you want to look at in the NFL, QBR, quarterback rating, yards per attempt, air yards per attempt, adjusted EPA, completion percentage over expected. Brock Purdy's number 1 in the NFL. Not number 2, not number 3, not number 4, not number 5. Number 1 in the NFL in every single one of those metrics. Now, if you want to make the case that he ranks better in those statistics than he would on a different team because he has great talent around him and he plays in a great offensive system, sure, and I agree with that. That's why I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the NFL. But a terrible quarterback can't lead the NFL in all those stats. It's not possible. If that's the case, then the quarterback position actually doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is having good weapons and a good offensive system. If that's the case, then just screw quarterbacks, pay them nothing. Get a bum in there and then just make sure you spend all your money on the best offensive coordinator and the best receivers, if that's the case. I was having that argument, tens of people think that he's a terrible quarterback. More than one person thinks they'd be better off with Sam Darnold. The guy who couldn't make it with the Jets, couldn't make it with the Panthers, and then signed a backup contract. Now he's going to be better than Brock Purdy, the guy who led the NFL in every single passing metric. What are we talking about? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills when I talk to these people. It's like they think stats literally mean nothing, which is insane. It'd be like as if I had 2 apples in my hand and I was like, look, 1 apple plus 1 apple equals 2 apples. They're like, no, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Have you looked at the apples? Have the apples passed the eye test?
What are the apples' weapons?
5 apples in your hands.
Just one have peanut butter and the other one have honey? What's the difference here?
Joshua says, did any real person say Purdy stinks? Joshua, go to my Twitter, @IainMacBets, and look to my tweets on Saturday night and look at the replies. It's most of the people replying are saying he actually sucks and he's terrible. Nobody's just like, yeah, he's good, but not great. A lot of people were saying he actually stinks and the metrics mean nothing.
So here's where I'm at with Brock Purdy. We're really coming to a Dave Matthews Band situation here, where either Dave Matthews Band is people's, like, they're the greatest band ever, they're their favorite band, they're fucking kick-ass, everyone loves Dave Matthews Band. Or it's the people who are like, I hate Dave Matthews Band, I can't stand them, I have no idea why anyone likes Dave Matthews Band, they make no sense to me. And then again, I'm sitting here in the middle going, yeah, they're a pretty good band. Like, they're pretty good, but there's very few of us. Like, we're very rare. Few and far between. So how I feel about Dave Matthews Band and how the public feels is the same way with Brock Purdy. They're good. They're not outstanding. They don't suck. They're good. All those Grammys mean something. All these first place stuff and awards mean something for Purdy. But again, it's the weapons. If Dave Matthews didn't have his kick-ass band, no one's listening to Dave Matthews.
I still think he's great. I think he's one step. I think it's Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy. I think he's the.
Of course, Hunter would love Dave Matthews because he loves Brock Purdy. See, we're 1 for 1.
Right.
We're 1 for 1.
I can't name a single Dave Matthews song, so I can't chime in on that.
Are you serious?
I'm not a music guy. Everyone knows this. I'm not a music guy. I'm not a music. I don't know anything about music. I can't name a song. Haven't listened to a song in 15 years.
Wait, what do you listen to? Do you just like drive in silence? Okay.
I've been running quite a bit the past year. When I go for runs, I listen to like songs from TV shows and movies.
You're a psycho, dude. How many people
I listen to songs from like Game of Thrones.
How many dead bodies are in your closet?
I listen to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. Yeah, I'm not a music guy. I don't like words in my music. I just listen to like instrumentals.
Let's move on, man. I'm shocked right now. I'm scared. I can't believe I'm doing a podcast with a literal serial killer right now, allegedly.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk your Chiefs. Let's now get to the other topic that I'm fired up about. What deal with the devil did Patrick Mahomes do? Where every break that he can possibly get, if he needs someone to miss a field goal, they miss. If he needs someone to hit a field goal, they hit it. If they need someone to throw an interception, they do. If they need a penalty called, it gets called. It's Tom Brady all over again, where I watched the Patriots for 20 years. Yes, they were a great team every single year, but it seemed like in those key moments when they needed something to go their way, it went their way every single time, and it's why I hated the Patriots. And now the same thing's happening to the Chiefs.
Well, I think if you actually break it down a little deeper, you might make the case that, yeah, everything seems to go their way, but look at what happened before. Like what happened the week before that I kept pointing out and no one wanted to talk about with special teams with the Bills, right? Tyler Bass missed 2 field goals. Yeah, they had a different holding situation. Their punter went down with injury. He came back. It still did not give him a lot of confidence heading into this game. Their punter was banged up. He couldn't punt very well, and Tyler Bass, I think, got in his head. So I'm sitting here going, into this game, special teams is going to make a major impact. In a clutch moment, will Tyler Bass have the mental fortitude to get it done? He didn't. Like, again, you might say, Mahomes gets all the breaks, but you're looking at it in a larger picture here and go, well, this is kind of on the Bills. This is on the Bills right now. They imploded. It wasn't anything Mahomes did. The Bills imploded in the special teams situation here. That wasn't just this week. This was weeks prior. But because it happened with Mahomes, we sit here going, oh my gosh, Mahomes gets all the breaks without looking at the larger picture here. That's what I'm taking away from this.
But the larger picture is his opponent implodes every single time that he plays an important game. This isn't the first time this has happened. It happens all the time.
And I will also say, if you want to take the Bills' defense, for example, all the injuries, right? That was the big talk heading into this game was the Bills' injuries, right? The Chiefs had a lot of injuries as well, especially as the game went on. Their main spy on Josh Allen went down in the first quarter, Willie Gay Jr. Their starting safety, who was actually their second safety because Brian Cook's been injured a large chunk of the season now, he went out on the first series, right? The difference is the Chiefs have so much depth, okay? Like, this was a big storyline that no one wants to talk about. Everyone wants to talk about Mahomes versus Josh Allen and stuff too. But if you don't look at team construction, I know you're falling asleep back there and you hate to hear it.
No,
drafted really well.
I'm frustrated.
Yeah, I know you are.
We're not talking about those things. There are every single time he needs a break, he gets a break. That doesn't. The depth of the team doesn't matter about breaks.
It does matter.
You know why? Lucky breaks.
I know you're talking about luck, but you know why you create your own luck. You know how you create your own luck? When you have the Bills linebacker cores, they go out with injury, and who do they have step up instead? A dude who hasn't played all season long, or a guy in Kansas City who they signed in the offseason for like a couple million in Drew Tranquil, who's incredible. It's about depth. It's about what do you have? The Chiefs have the depth. Other teams do not. So in injuries, play guys. The all-pro left guard, Joe Thuney, first-team all-pro left guard, went down in the second half. Did you notice him out? No, because they have depth there at left guard with Nick Allegretti. They find ways to get it done. You don't want to bring this up, but on other teams, when depth goes down, when guys go down, what happens? You take advantage. You can't, though, with the Chiefs because they have the depth. That's the issue. You're talking about luck. I'm talking about creating your own luck. There's the difference.
I got an issue with Chiefs fans because you guys have the best quarterback in the NFL. You've won, 2 of the last 4 Super Bowls, is it? You've been to 6 straight AFC championships. Aren't you I wouldn't know because none of my teams have ever won a championship my entire lifetime outside the Blue Jays when I was 8 months old in 1993. Haven't you had enough? Why do you even want to win these games? I'm seeing Chiefs fans are I was pacing back and forth. I was going to throw up. I was so nervous. Why do you even care? If I had 2 championships, I wouldn't even care. Let the other team win.
This particular
do you get nervous for these games? When it comes down to when Bass is lining up to kick that field, are you nervous? Why do you care?
I knew he was missing it, by the way.
Of course I did, because it's the Chiefs. If the Chiefs had to make that field goal, it would have been right down the middle.
No, I mean,
or they would have missed it and the penalty would have been called.
I'm a Mizzou fan, so I understand completely. I get it. I'm sitting here though, and I think Joshua brings up a good point. Says, yeah, Mahomes gets all the luck. So lucky for McCall to take a touchdown off the board. So lucky Shamari Connor went for a scoop rather than falling on the ball. I mean, if you want to talk about breaks, Bills got the majority of the breaks in this game. Why are you shaking your finger?
Don't let facts get in the way of my narrative.
Yeah.
That doesn't fit the narrative. I'm ignoring that play. That wasn't
lateral. Don't let a lateral get into it either.
That was nothing but a great play by the Bills.
Or a forward lateral, or Dawson Knox hitting the ball out of bounds on the first drive, which could have been even worse. Yeah, the Bills actually had the majority of things go their way in this game, and they still lost. But yes, I was nervous in this game. This was a game that meant a lot because I'm sitting back going, I know for a fact what was a negative storyline against Mahomes heading into this game. He's never played a playoff game on the road, which is asinine. It's absurd because they win so much during the regular season. Somehow they use that as a knock against him. So what did he do? He won. He's now 1-0 on the road, so that you can't use that against him. And by the way, I want to use it and flip this now and say Mahomes has never lost a road playoff game in his career. So does that mean that they have an advantage against the Ravens now? That's how the national media would try and spin this thing. But yeah, I get nervous because this meant a lot. This was a huge situation, a huge game that, in my opinion, could be the backbreaker that could end the Bills, at least this version, this iteration of this team. This has been a rival for a while now. The Bills talk smack heading into this game. Deion Dawkins talked a bleep ton of smack heading into this game. You shouldn't rile them up. Hey,
why
they took it personal.
Why for a franchise that was average for so long, all of a sudden becomes good, and now there's the most arrogant fans on social media? I would think that a franchise that was so average for so long would be a little bit more humble. But now it's like one call goes their way, and they're like, oh, the entire NFL is out to get us. And then they end up winning the game anyways. And then they're like, yeah, of course we won. We're the greatest team to ever exist. Patrick Mahomes is a god. Everyone kiss our feet. We're amazing. It's annoying.
I have never once to ask you to kiss my feet.
No, not you. I'm talking about the Chiefs fans as a whole. I hate them. When the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl, I loved it. I was a Chiefs guy. Every passing game that happens now, I hate them more and more.
Is it
because I'm jealous? Yes, it's just out of jealousy. I want my team to win.
It was the same way with the Patriots. I mean, it really was. And the thing is now is the Chiefs are the villain, and especially in that game against Buffalo, this was one of the first times they were the true underdog villain, right? And they had the same thing now going into Baltimore. the players relish it. Like the players had a lot of fun with it because not often are they the underdogs and the villains. How often do you see the storyline of, oh, the hero's going to win? I mean, the Bills scored a touchdown from what yard line? The 13. Who did they score a touchdown against? L'Jarius Sneed. That was his first touchdown against all season long. So they're trying to write this storybook ending. The only issue is the villain won, and the villain relished it. That's what happened at the very end of the game when you see Drew Tranquil getting snowballs thrown at him, just living it up. The villains won.
Yeah. It was nice to see Patrick Mahomes have some sportsmanship since he won the game. I'm sure if he lost the game, I'm sure he would have had the same sportsmanship he showed when he lost to the Bills in the regular season.
He has always been a great dude. He's always been a great dude. Because
he usually wins, so he always comes off as a great dude. And then he loses
Even when he loses, he's a great dude. Don't. There is zero knock you can use against Mahomes.
That was a tough look in the regular season against the Bills.
That was a tough look. And that was his one
in
7 years. 6 years starting, 7 years in the NFL. That was his one time he's ever had. When you have to pull up one time, come on now.
Mr. Moy says, keep that same energy. Kansas City's going to keep on winning. And yeah, they will. That's the worst part of it. They will keep winning. They'll probably win the Super Bowl this year. They'll win 14 of the next 15 Super Bowls. And I'll hate them every step of the way. Justin says the Patriots were ordinary without Tom and they became arrogant and the bane of your... Yes, correct. Which is like, now that the Patriots stink, my hate is now transferred over to the Chiefs. Correct. Even though the Chiefs have never done anything bad against the Falcons, except beat us the past few times in the regular season.
You stole Tony Gonzalez from us, so that there is some beef.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we tried to get him a championship, but not quite. All right, so yeah, I hate the Chiefs. I'm sorry, Chiefs fans. It is what it is. I'm gonna hate any great team. I'm gonna hate, and it's out of pure jealousy. I admit that, but that's not gonna keep me from hating them. I feel like if I can just get one championship, no matter what team or sport, one of my teams win a championship, I'll be fine. But until that happens, I'm 31 years old. I don't have many years left. I've 40, 50 years left? I'm almost halfway through a chance of my team winning a championship. It's getting bleak.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Oh, you wouldn't know that because you don't like music.
I know that. That's Simon and Garfunkel. So how about that? The Detroit Lions escape with another win. And I say escape because I actually now think this is 2 straight games that they were kind of outplayed by their opponent. I don't think they were outplayed as much by the Buccaneers than they were the Rams. Like, I do still think the Lions probably deserve to win the game because of the turnovers, whereas I thought the Rams actually deserved to win the first game. But Lions have scraped by now 2 games in a row. Do you agree or no?
Yes, but especially as you mentioned the Rams game. But what I will say is there is something to being able to win in close games. There is a little bit of a skill set there. Like the Chiefs have been very, I'm not trying to bring this up, but like they've been very good in 1-score games.
Of course.
Like they have been. The Vikings last year were really good in 1-score games. This year they were not. Sometimes it's a little bit season over season. There's not a whole bunch of continuity there. But I do think there is something to winning 1-score games. A lot of it is season over season, and the Lions have it this season. At least they have it so far in the playoffs. If you're a Niners fan, that should make you at least a little scared that they're going to keep it close, and they have shown an ability to win in 1-score games. Quite frankly, they should have beat the Cowboys, but we know how that call went down, right? I mean, that would have been another 1-score game, 1-point game that should have gone their way. I think there's something to winning these close games. So I know you can use it as a knock, but I think on the other hand, you can also use it as a little bit of a positive here.
Yeah, I just want to back up my claim why I say escape here. If I look at the numbers, the Buccaneers outgained the Lions 6.8 yards per play to 5.5 yards per play. Now, obviously, yards per play doesn't tell everything. Buccaneers turned the ball over twice. That was kind of the difference maker. But then a similar thing against the Rams, even more exaggerated. Rams outgained them 7.7 yards per play to 6.1. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep winning despite that.
I think it's tough to use yards per play when you win the turnover margin. I know it might sound
Right.
silly to say, but yeah, when teams are playing from behind, more than likely they're going to be throwing the ball, trying to hit some deep shots
Sure.
while the Lions at that point are trying to run the clock out. So I think there can be a little bit of a wonkiness to
No, for
that.
sure.
But I think you are correct. There's not that the Lions have been dominating games. Again,
Right.
though, I think it comes down to, do you trust the Lions secondary, their defense, and do you trust Jared Goff? And so far, Jared Goff has done nothing to at least for me, who's been a Jared Goff hater until he got to Detroit pretty much, and he's really revitalized his career, to say he can't do it. I think he can do it.
I do want to acknowledge Justin. He says, until 7 years ago, us Chiefs fans felt the same, which is why I have a big issue. Because if 7 years ago you Chiefs fans felt the same, maybe it's just the saying, either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain. You guys have lived long enough to become the villain. And it's sad to see.
Well, it's only because
I expected a little bit more, Chiefs fans be a little bit more humble given their past.
It's because people it feels like just take shots for unnecessary reasons. And that's what it comes down to. And it's not Falcons fans. We have nothing against you guys. It's Bills and Bengals fans typically.
Right. Nobody has anything against us except for maybe Saints fans, but even then. Do the Bucs bring back Baker Mayfield? I think I read somewhere a report that they were planning on bringing him back. He was a 1-year contract, so he would technically be a free agent. But do they or should they bring back Baker Mayfield after you let them do a playoff win?
100% they should. He's 28 years old, going to be 29. His birthday is April 14th.
Oh, my God.
So he's a lot younger than I think people realize. I don't see how you don't bring him back. You're not drafting high enough to get a good quarterback.
Right.
I don't think Kyle Trask was ever going to be the guy. I think you drafted him in hopes of a potential breakout guy. You draft him in hopes of a Brock Purdy type situation, or one of those later round quarterbacks. But what we saw so far from him was, oh bleep, this ain't good. Again, I'm not saying he can't turn into anything, but I don't think you take that risk in a bad NFC South. I think you roll with Baker Mayfield. He played really good this entire season, especially if you're able to bring back Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, at least some good offensive weapons. I don't see why you wouldn't bring back Baker Mayfield. Again, you might not win the Super Bowl. You probably don't have the upside, but you have a good chance of making the playoffs with him. And again, anything can happen in the playoffs, as we have seen. So, yeah, I think you bring him back, maybe looking at a little bit more of a in between Geno Smith and Derek Carr type of deal. I think if he would have won that game, you're really looking at a Derek Carr type of deal. He had a lot of money on that playoff game against Detroit. He didn't do himself a ton of favors, especially with that last interception. Right, the first one wasn't all on him. That was off the hands. Then it went to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, which, of course, after he talked all that smack. But, I think you're probably looking at a, 3-year, $100 million contract probably for Baker.
Yeah, I'm not a contract guy, so I'm not even going to predict the length or the amount. But yeah, I think you got to bring him back for at least a couple of years. Try to build the rest of your team. Maybe get a young guy at quarterback to learn. Maybe a guy like in the second round or late first round to learn behind Baker for a couple of years. But I certainly think he's earned another shot for sure.
Yeah.
Where do the Bills go from here? Last topic, and then we're going to move on to the championship round to kind of put a cap on the Bills season. Obviously disappointing. We talked about a little bit earlier about how this is kind of their all-in year. They lose in heartbreaking fashion. I personally think that you got to get rid of Sean McDermott. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that's how the Bills move on from here. Is I think you got to change things at the top, and that's starting with their head coach. I actually don't think Sean McDermott's that good of a head coach.
I would agree. Especially for a defensive guy who, in the playoffs, seemingly the defense always crumbles.
Right.
I always wonder, too, Brian Daboll coming back. I still think the Bills' offense looked the best with Brian Daboll when he was there. Brian Daboll's not having a ton of success right now. I wonder if he would get the opportunity to be a head coach in Buffalo, if he would take that. I don't know how that would actually work. I don't know if they would even do that. But, man, it's tough. And again, I actually love the Bills. I'm the rare Chiefs guy that loves watching the Bills play football. They're so enjoyable to watch. Josh Allen's my second favorite quarterback in the NFL. I think he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. They'll have a chance, but you're looking at a completely different team. Again, 13 seconds was the start. This year, beating the Bills in Buffalo, that has to be the end. I know it was a close game, but again, I think a lot of things went their way, the Buffalo Bills' way, turnover-wise and everything like that, some of the 50-50 balls. What it comes down to is McDermott, I think, is gone. Find a way to get out of Von Miller's contract. Stephon Diggs, maybe you trade him because he's really fallen off a cliff the last, 12 games of the season. He was not good. Gabe Davis is a free agent, but Gabe Davis, you have his production with Khalil Shakur. You hit on Dalton Kincaid, right? You hit there. Dawson Knox, I think, is a free agent, so he's probably gone. Probably try and get younger defensively at safety because you're spending a lot of money on Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. Tre'Davious White's been a great corner for a long time, but he's always injured. You can't trust him. Try and build around Ed Oliver, probably. But you're going to look at a completely different Bills team next year. If you thought Josh Allen has already done a lot, has already had a lot on his plate, get ready for next season because he's going to have to do even more if they want to have any chance of making a playoff run. I feel for Bills fans because they went all in and they don't have a ton to show for.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a couple down years. I mean, as long as they have Josh Allen, they're going to have a chance, but I think it's going to be a couple down years. And I think probably in 3 years' time, they're probably going to get back, though, to being a true contender. But I think based on how the roster is constructed, it's going to be a couple rough years ahead.
Well, and they have to draft well, and that's the issue. They haven't drafted great. That's why they've had to have these free agent signings because they haven't been able to find any edge rushers. When you have to give that kind of money to Von Miller at his age, when you have to bring in, and they got lucky. I don't want to say lucky, but they scouted correctly and brought in Leonard Floyd, but it's not like Leonard Floyd's this young free agent or a young rookie contract type of player. No, he's a veteran. He's been around a while. He had 10.5 sacks. That's great, but you can't count on that every single year. You got to draft these guys, and they've not done that. I mean, Kyer Elam, their first-round cornerback, has been buns. It's tough, man. They're in a really tough spot, and I do feel for them.
All right, let's move on to Conference Championship weekend, starting off with the question of what your dream matchup for the Super Bowl is. Now, obviously, you're a Chiefs guy, so you're going to pick the Chiefs out of the AFC, and I don't want to know who the easier matchup is for the Chiefs or who you think they're going to be playing. I want to know, entertainment-wise, would you rather see the Chiefs play the Lions or the 49ers? Entertainment-wise.
I think Chiefs-Lions because of entertainment-wise, I think Lions fans and all that stuff, like it'd be fun. But I do think there's something fun with the Chiefs and Niners, and there's going to be a storyline either way, right? No matter even if the Ravens make it, it's going to be a fun storyline. But with the Chiefs Niners in particular, it goes back to the first one the Chiefs won in this generation, right? Where the Chiefs got it done. And you can make a lot of case of if Brock Purdy makes that throw late in the game, then you're going to start having the Brock Purdy is elite talk, right? Like there's a lot of fun talk about these two teams in particular. So maybe that's the more storyline aspect of it.
I'm hoping for Ravens-Lions. I think that'd be the most fun. As long as the Chiefs aren't in the Super Bowl. If I have to put up with another 2 weeks of Super Bowl talk and it's involving the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be a painful 2 weeks for me. I'm just sick of seeing Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl.
Did you see they already passed Gronkowski and Brady for most touchdowns by a duo? Good
for them.
Mahomes to Kelce.
Well, they better enjoy because Travis Kelce's retiring after this season. So
no, he's not. Don't you dare. And I will say this to Patriots fans who are yelling at me. I will say this. A lot of that is because they never played in the wild card round. Let's be real now. The Patriots never played in the wild. They never played. So there were fewer games. I will grant Patriots fans that. So don't come at me.
Yeah, there is a theory that this NFL has released who is going to be playing in the Super Bowl every year because the two colors in the logos the past 2 seasons have been the same as the teams, and this year it's purple and red or orange, so it'd be Ravens 49ers. But Joshua says T Swift's favorite color is purple, so that's why they have purple in there, not for the Ravens. So, Taylor Swift, that'll certainly not get annoying by the end of Super Bowl week. Which, by the way, I do got to say, I'm going to defend T Swift, which I never thought I would. Not her fault. She's going to the game. She's cheering on her boyfriend. Not her fault. It's the broadcast fault for showing her every 10 seconds. What's she supposed to do? Not go to the game? Like, she's not asking to be on the broadcast. But I digress. We're going to get into picks a little bit here in a little bit. But do you think the Lions are being disrespected as Super Bowl contenders? Because If you look at the Super Bowl odds right now, it's the Ravens, it's the 49ers, then there's a small gap, and then the Chiefs, and then a big gap before the Lions. I think the Chiefs are plus 250, and then the Lions last on the list at 7-1. Huge gap between the Lions and the other three teams in terms of what the odds makers and bettors think the Lions' chances are of winning the Super Bowl. Do you think that's disrespect, or do you think that's warranted?
It's tough because, let's be real, Vegas is not in the business of losing money, right? So there's nothing disrespectful when Vegas sets the lines and people are betting money on this. So they're not trying to disrespect them. This is their hard-earned money. Like,
Right.
this is what they think is going to happen. I personally believe the Lions have a better chance than people are giving credit to. Again, they are clearly the fourth best team left, I think, in the Final Four, right? I don't think you and I are going to get in a big argument over that. But I do think they have a legitimate chance. I think the Lions offense in particular can make this a very interesting game. Their defense is not great, don't get me wrong, but Amon-Ra St. Brown is nearly unguardable. Sam Laporta is a game changer. And this emergence of Jahmyr Gibbs, like Dan Campbell's kind of saved Jahmyr all season long for this final stretch into the playoffs. When you see him get into open space, it's over. It's over. I mean, he reminds me a little bit of Jamal Charles, right? Where you're like, oh, this guy can single-handedly change the game at a running back position. You don't see that very often. The issue is he's going up against the other running back currently in the NFL that's a game changer, and that's Christian McCaffrey. Again, I think the Lions have a chance. I'm not putting money on it, but I do think that they have better odds than the current 7-1 is being given to them.
And if the Lions make the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, already 1-0 against the Chiefs this season. Fact.
It's a fact.
It would be kind of neat that the first game this season started with Lions Chiefs and ended with Lions Chiefs. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
What
are your thoughts? You didn't give any. I know you're not a big Lions guy. We've talked about this already.
Listen, the Lions offense can hang with all four of the final teams left in the NFL. Their defense is by far the worst defense. They are the worst defense in the playoffs. They're by far the worst defense left. So, I mean, if they can figure something out defensively, or if they can just beat these teams in shootouts and just outscore them, then sure. 7-1 in terms of these final four. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bet I want to place, but maybe it's a little bit longer than I'd set it at. But I do think there's a pretty large gap between the top three and then the Lions.
Yeah.
But also, I think there should be a larger gap between the Ravens and 49ers, between them and the Chiefs.
You think Chiefs are clear-cut 3?
I think the Chiefs are a distant 3.
I think people are having issues with that because of what the Chiefs have done in the playoffs in the past, and then the past 2 playoff games. If you take the regular season in totality, then 100% the Chiefs might even be less than the Lions if you take the regular season in. But I think people are saying, oh, wow, they do have that next level they can get to. Like, they have the Patriots or Golden State where you kind of coast to the regular season and then you turn it on come playoff time. It does seem a little bit of that is happening with the Kansas City Chiefs.
But neither of those games were against the Ravens or the 49ers. And this is not like a playoff thing. All season long, from about the halfway point to the end of the season, it was Ravens and 49ers and everyone else. And, like, nobody was arguing any other, like, even the Chiefs lost to some bad teams this year.
100% agree.
So, like, I do think in football, and it happens because you only play one game a week, where people get a short memory, where now Chiefs have had 2 impressive wins, to be fair, but, like, we're forgetting about the whole season. And obviously there is some of that because they've won so much in the playoffs lately, all the Super Bowls and everything, that you just think it's going to happen again. But they've never played the 2023 Baltimore Ravens.
Agreed. But can I ask you something? This is a serious rebuttal
absolutely.
Here. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but let's say March Madness, right?
Right.
I'm a Mizzou guy, but let's be real. Kansas basketball is always bleeping good, so I'm gonna use them as the base case here. A lot of times, KU is the number 1 seed, right?
Right.
All season long. But what happens or we can use Kentucky or whoever you want to use. Let's just say a team's great all season long. They're the number 1. How often does that team win? Not very often. No, not very often. Not very. You know what happens? They get knocked off by a team
more often than any other seed.
Well, no, but sure, but very often a team that comes in, they're very hot. They're playing their best basketball or football at that exact moment. They're the team that wins. They weren't better than them, but it's a 1-game sample size, and who was playing better at that moment for that game. who has the higher upside? Like there are just so many things to bring into account. So while I do agree with, of course, the Chiefs have not played this Ravens team. I get it. But also the Chiefs, these past 2 games, they've been damn impressive. They're as hot as any team currently right now in the NFL. I don't think that there's that much of a difference right now between them and the Ravens from what they've done at this point.
Then.
Not full season, but this point.
Yeah, Hunter makes a good point. This is, I mean, March Madness isn't the same, and I don't think you're making the direct one-to-one comparison. But it is a one-game elimination. Anything could happen in one game.
Yeah.
And
again, there's not going to be the direct comparison because you can't use baseball and you can't use hockey and you can't use NBA because there's a 7-game series.
Right. And in one game, anything could happen. Let's get into the picks then. So let's start with the AFC. That just because chronological, that's going to be the first game on Sunday. Chiefs, Ravens 3.5 point favorite. Chiefs hitting the road again. You think the Chiefs win?
All of the Chiefs cover.
Yeah.
If I'm betting, if I'm putting money on this, I'd have the Chiefs covered in 3.5. That seems like an easier cover. I think it's going to be a very close game.
Who do you think wins?
It's tough. I've not done my full picks yet. I mean, I've said the Ravens are the best team all season long, but I do think the Chiefs are playing their best football at the right time. It's going to come down.
It's not like the Ravens aren't, though. The Ravens beat up on the Texans.
Oh, agreed. But part of me wants to see who's coming back for Kansas City. Like, is Willie Gay Jr. coming back? Because that's going to be your spy. If he's back, that changes things for me. Joe Tooney, their left guard, good reports, not a pec tear from what we have seen, but still very much questionable to play. Maybe Nick Allegretti at left guard starts, and that's a little bit of a drop-off, but not a major one. Some of this is I want to see who is playing and who's out for this game because I do think the linebacker position for Kansas City, as much depth as they currently have, Willie Gay Jr. being their spy might be the biggest game changer. That may be a huge difference that is not in the national media's talking points or storyline here.
Here's my take on this game, and that's the Ravens are an absolute stylistic nightmare for the Kansas City Chiefs. There's no team that matches up worse with the Chiefs or for the Chiefs than the Ravens, because what's the weak point of the Chiefs defense? It's their inability to stop the run. They've struggled to stop the run all season. The Bills had a lot of success, at least in the first half, running the football against them. They're in the bottom half in just about every single run defense metric. And now they take on the Ravens, who run the ball more than anyone else in the NFL. And they're also a top 3 in terms of rushing efficiency. So in that way, this is a nightmare matchup for the Chiefs defense. And then what would be a bad matchup for the Chiefs offense? An amazing secondary that can slow down Patrick Mahomes and stop this terrible Chiefs receiving core. And who has the best secondary in the NFL, in my opinion? The Baltimore Ravens. It's either them or the Browns. And then to be fair, the Chiefs secondary is probably number 3. But the Ravens were a lot better overall. The Browns are really good at home, not so good on the road. Overall, I think the Ravens are the best pass defense in the NFL. So I think they're built to shut down exactly what Chiefs do offensively, and they're built to attack the Chiefs defense. I think the Ravens might win this game by double digits.
I do not think double digits, but I do think your matchup nightmare rings true. I said it before this game. I was laughing saying players can't look ahead, but I can because I'm not playing. So I said you can use the same game plan against Miami and Buffalo, but you can't use it against the Niners and you can't use it against the Baltimore Ravens because the Chiefs can focus on Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice, right? They can focus on those 2 guys because the Bills and the Dolphins don't have the horses to stop them. They only have one Jalen Ramsey, especially with Xavier Howard being out for Miami. They only have one really good secondary member. You look at the Bills, their safeties are solid, but they have Rasul Douglas, and that's it at corner. Who else are you going to put? Dane Jackson? You're going to try and put Kyer Elam? Right. No, you're getting torched. But against Baltimore, they have the horses. They have so many different secondary members they can throw at you. So you can't just focus in, if you're the Chiefs offense, on Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. You have to have a tertiary player step up. I'm not talking about the running game. I'm talking about a receiver. Whether that tertiary receiver is McCole Hardman, MVS, maybe Kadarius Toney is healthy and plays in this game. I don't know how much I like those odds because a tertiary guy for the Chiefs is going to have to step up, and they've not shown the ability to do that all season long. Although I will say MVS stepped up big last game against the Bills with 2 catches for 62 yards.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a game where during the game, people are going to be like, oh, yeah, right. I kind of forgot the Chiefs have like no receivers.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be hard. I mean, CJ Stroud and the Texans had one of the best passing attacks in the NFL this year. They didn't get inside. They didn't score a touchdown. Didn't even get inside the 20. Didn't run an offensive play inside the Ravens' 25-yard line this past week. And their only touchdown was a punt return touchdown.
Well, and Ian, I said
This
whole time.
is a tough challenge for the Chiefs.
I'm with you because Tank Dell would have changed that because Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Dalton Schultz would have given him those 3 options receiving, right?
Right. But
No,
they had one guy, and they shut him down.
And that's my concern with the Chiefs is the same thing. They don't have, again, playoff MVS seems to be a real thing, but are you putting your eggs in the MVS going for 80 yards in this game? I don't know if I am.
Yeah. So this is I think the only reason to bet on the Chiefs is Patrick Mahomes, which a lot of Chiefs are an extremely popular bet, and it's just because people are taking Patrick Mahomes with the points, but I don't think it's that easy.
Do you like the over-under in this game? Because it seems to me like
Under.
you would like the under. Yeah.
Yeah, under, for sure. I like Ravens to cover more, but if I were to bet on the total, I'd definitely go under. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I like the under more than the over in this game.
All right, let's talk NFC Championship Sunday night. Lions touchdown underdogs on the road in San Francisco against the 49ers. Pretty big line here with the total at 51. So pretty high total if they expect an offensive shootout. What do you like for this one?
Ooh. Man, I'm looking for a fun game where both teams have fun. No, I like the Lions to make this very competitive, very close, but I think the Niners end up winning this game. I'm intrigued to see Deebo Samuel. I know he's listed as questionable, but I will say give Brock Purdy credit. That final drive, he's had his worst game of the season, at least one of them. Where he threw 4 interceptions that other game, I guess. But he stepped up. He stepped up big. I hope it doesn't rain. If it rains, I might go with the Lions because the Niners can't really, as we've seen, that was a struggle for him to throw the ball.
Well, Jared Goff can't throw in the rain either, though.
Yeah, I guess kind of a true.
If it rains, maybe take.
If it rains, rip the under 10-3. I like the Niners to win, but I do think this is going to be a very back and forth close game because I do think the Lions have the horses offensively to make it close. I do think the Lions might stylistically try and do something to slow and muddy this game up, run the football a ton, try and hit Amon-Ra St. Brown for 10 catches for 105 yards, 12 catches for 120, just a lot of those short ones that just pick up first downs. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, I would expect a heavy dose of both those guys. And again, the Lions do have the dudes in the trenches up front on the offensive side of the ball that can make this very, very interesting to lean on what is a very good 49ers defense.
I'm Square City. I'm Mr. Square this week. I'll lay the points with both favorites. I think all season, the Ravens and the 49ers have been the best team in the NFL, with few people can argue that, and I think they're going to prove it this weekend and win both games by a lot. I think, and this brings back, I think it was Joshua in the chat when we first came on. It might have been someone else, but I think it was him, wondering if we thought both favorites were going to win or not. I think they do because I think this season there is clearly the two best teams. I don't think in years past, especially recent years, we could have necessarily said that. Like, even a couple years ago, remember when the Titans were the number 1 seed? I thought like they were the worst number 1 seed in a long time. Like there's been some even teams that are getting the number 1 seed. It's like, all right, they're the number 1 seed, but like there's some, the number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 seed could all beat them. Since like the halfway point of the season on, the Ravens and the 49ers look like a step above the rest of the NFL. I think the Lions defense is going to cost them in this one. Their secondary is atrocious. I read off earlier how they were outgained. I know yards per play doesn't tell the whole story in the game, but at the end of the day, they were outgained significantly in yards per play in both their first 2 games. I don't think you can do that against the 49ers. I think they're going to torch this Lions secondary. The Lions have been also statistically terrible on the road this season, not good on the road. Net yards per play, I think minus 0.3 on the road as opposed to like +1 at home or something. So I think they benefited from playing at home last week. Now they hit the road, West Coast, outside game. I don't think that is a good thing for the Lions. So, yeah, I'm Mr. Square. I will lay the points with both favorites. I think they both win big.
Yeah,
I think double-digit win for both teams.
I
Both
will
are
say
decent quarterbacks.
it would be a phenomenal Super Bowl, Ravens and Niners, just based on, as you mentioned, they were the two best teams
Yep.
all season long. But again, you don't get that very often. Just going back to March Madness, when Gonzaga played UCLA, when they were both the clear-cut best two teams all year long, we were all sitting back going, this never happens. Remember that was the reaction was, this never happens.
Right.
So
It is rare to happen.
Yeah.
But you like to see it occasionally. Occasionally, I want to see the clear two top teams playing the Super Bowl. Now, I know they just played on December 25th on Christmas. And a lot of people, yes, the Ravens won that game big. I don't think that was as big of a blowout as the final score indicates. I think that game was a lot closer. And I think if they rematch in the Super Bowl, I think it's going to be a lot closer of a game. Even if the Ravens win again, I don't think it's going to be like their first game. There was a lot of tipped passes ending in interceptions. The 49ers actually outgained them in yards per play. Once again, Ravens took the lead. So take that for what it is. But that game was a lot closer than the final
Dog,
score.
I got to get you a shirt that says yards per play.
Give me a shirt that says net yards per play.
Oh.
Let me look up. There's 4 teams left in the NFL. Let me show you where they ranked in net yards per play.
Oh. Can I guess?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Ravens 1, Niners 2, Chiefs 5, and I'll say Detroit 12.
Close. Niners 1, Ravens 3, Chiefs 4, and Lions 11. So Lions are the outlier in this one. But three of the final 4 teams in the playoffs were finished inside the top 4 in net yards per play. So yes, I know I reference it way too much, but it's for good reason. And this happens on an almost yearly basis. The top teams in net yards per play are the ones that are left.
Who was 2?
The Dolphins.
Wow.
But relatively easy schedule. How they played in the first half of the season kind of skewed their numbers by the end. If you look at their numbers for the second half of the season, they wouldn't be top 4. They played their best football early in the year, which isn't good when it comes to trying to win a championship. So I think both favorites are going to win. So just give me your Super Bowl prediction. Is it Chiefs 49ers?
Right now I'm going Chiefs 49ers, although I want to do a little bit more research on the Chiefs Ravens game, because I do think the Ravens are a bad matchup for the Chiefs. So again, I'm kind of going with the betting market, saying I think Mahomes is the guy that gets it done. And also it's unfair against Lamar. I love Lamar Jackson, love watching him play, but that knock is used against him of he can't get it done in the playoffs. I think this Ravens team is much different, much better than any single team the Ravens have had with him at quarterback in this Lamar Jackson era. But he has to get it done at some point. If he doesn't get it done this year, there will be even more questions surrounding him.
All right, so our best bets for this week. I went 1 and 2 last week. We both hit our total bets. We both lost on our spread bets. For the spread, I took 49ers to cover versus Packers. You took Texans to cover versus Ravens. Both those were losers. We both hit our totals. I hit the under in Ravens-Texans. You hit the over in Bucks-Lions. And then, of course, upset. I lost another upset pick. My upset pick was the Chiefs. I let you have it, though. I took Buccaneers. And
you could have joined me.
I could have. You're right. I could have. That's on me. It's on me. So I went 1 and 2. You went 2 and 1. I figured since there's only 2 games, we'll just give out our best bet for each game. I think we've already talked about them here. Ravens, Chiefs. I took Ravens to cover. You took Chiefs to cover. You don't know if you like Chiefs to win, but you like them with a 3.5.
Correct.
Lions, 49ers. I took the 49ers to cover the 7-point spread. You have a total. Which side do you like for Lions?
Yeah, I like the under in this one. Again, I do think
especially if it rains.
Yeah, if it rains, but I like the Lions to try and grind it out a little bit more, to try and muddy this game up, which I think Dan Campbell and this Lions team can do. When you're not quite as talented, what do you try and do? Limit possessions. You try and make it ugly. And I think they try and make this game pretty ugly. So I like the under.
Yep, I won't argue against that reasoning. I know we're already at our time here, but I do want to quickly go over. There's been lines set for potential Super Bowl matchups. So the 4 potential matchups lines already released. Have you looked at those at all, Sterling?
I have not.
I'll list them off really quickly. You just give me a quick thought for each of them.
Okay.
Chiefs, Lions. Chiefs to be favored by 3.5.
Seems right.
49ers, Chiefs. 49ers favored by 3 points.
Seems right.
Lions, Ravens. This is surprising me. Ravens favored by 4.5.
I thought it'd be higher. I thought it'd be like 6.
I thought it would be too. 49ers, Ravens. This is the most interesting one to me because these two teams played a few weeks ago on Christmas. 49ers were a 6.5-point home favorite. Ravens obviously won that game. But now for the Super Bowl, sportsbooks have 49ers at -1.5. A 5-point shift a month later.
If I'm being
so
honest,
basically a pick 'em.
I would say it should be a pick 'em.
Yeah.
I think it should be a lot. If you like those metrics, look up Aaron Schatz, the creator of DVOA. This Ravens team is historically good. Historically good.
So take the Ravens as a slight on. At that line, to be honest, I think I kind of like the 49ers.
I would roll with the Ravens.
I personally would set the line more like 2.5 in favor of the 49ers. So at 1.5, I think I go 49ers. I'm not confident in it though. I do for the entertainment factor and for Lions fans. I hope they make the Super Bowl, but this is a year I kind of do just want to see the two best teams play against each other, and that would be Ravens 49ers in my opinion. So
hey, if I take my Chiefs fandom out, I wouldn't hate it.
All right, so there you go. This has been the conference championship edition of Stack in the Box. Like and subscribe to Stack in the Box on YouTube. Rate and review the podcast. Sign up for DraftKings, an account at DraftKings. Use the code STB. We've been talking a lot about the odds. If you want to place a bet on the Super Bowl, if you want to place a bet on these weekend's games, if you use the code STB when you sign up, you'll get $200 in bonus bets and some same game parlays as well. If you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, what you're going to hear right after we finish up is my interview with Kirk Cousins last week. Interviewed him last week. I made my pitch to him to join the Falcons as a free agent this offseason. So that was a fun interview. So stick around if you're an audio listener and you will hear that. If you're watching this on YouTube, just go over to the main Stack in the Box YouTube page. In the interview is up there in video form. Niner Gang says revenge either way. Yeah, because no matter if the 49ers win, no matter who they're playing, it's one of the two teams they lost to in the Super Bowl. So the Ravens obviously in, when was that, 2013? They lost to the Ravens and then lost to the Chiefs a handful of years ago. Yeah. So yeah, revenge either way. 49ers should be either excited or nervous for that. I don't know. It seems like Niner Gang is excited. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Follow us on Twitter/X at Iain MacBets and at HomestretchKC. Sterling, any final thoughts?
Enjoy the last couple games of football because when it's gone,
it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, very good point. That made me sad when you just said that, but it's true. We have 3 games left. Unless you're going to become a big USFL fan or whatever it's called this year, we got 3 games left until next fall. Enjoy it. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll talk to you all next week. And next week, Sterling will be opening his prize for winning the Survivor pool. Did you do that on purpose, or was that?
I was trying to do it as we went out. I didn't know you were going to talk more. I thought we were going out.
Do one more time.
Doing the lasers. I don't know if it's going to work. I'll do one of these for you.
Oh, there we go. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.